keeping the subject matter to Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt only, why do you love wrestling?
You know what? I love wrestling more than anything for story. I love it for creativity. Seeing something new which doesn't happen, and much so the times when it does, really appreciating that as well. That encompasses Bray Wyatt to me. He's like the epitome of, what you can do in wrestling, trying to change things, trying to do different things. Like I said, in a short amount of time, the impact he had with, he's changed how stories will be told in the future. There'll be so many people that get influence from him, and those stories just evolving the characters. That's why I love wrestling, the characters and the creativity in the stories, and that's Bray. He's the epitome of that for me.
I can't say anything else. Bray Wyatt will go down as one of the most creative people in the history of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to what I promised by the end will be a fun episode of Wrestling with Egos, but unfortunately, it has to start on a extremely somber note.
Mm-hmm.
It is Friday, August 25th, 2023, and we are about 24 hours removed from the tragic news of the passing of Windham Rotunda, more affectionately known in the wrestling world as Bray Wyatt. He was 36 years old, left behind 4 children and a legacy. And we will talk about that. And after we are done talking about Bray, we will move on to what some people are calling the biggest wrestling show in wrestling history, happening over in KD's neck of the woods, jolly old London, England. It is All In, which is happening Sunday afternoon, and we'll talk about that. My name's Patrick. I am joined by the funniest guy in the room, KD Hinken. Brian Aloysius Krigo is on assignment tonight, and by that, family time is what's happening. So again, he's on assignment. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Whether it's on YouTube or any of our podcasting platforms, I'm not going to name them all. We do it every week. Screw it. But
and don't ask me to do it because I will not be able to remember.
Yeah, I'm not even going to worry about it. I mean,
okay.
They know where to find. If they're listening to the podcast, guess what? They've already figured out where. Wherever
that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, oh wow, I listened to these guys on iTunes. I didn't realize I could find them on iTunes. Moving on. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share, 5-star reviews, click the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. And
it's one of them ones, isn't it, where I think we both felt like this before we started. Like, if we chatted for longer than normal, it's like we kind of want to. I don't know about yourself, obviously I can't say, but I know myself. It's like I want to talk about it, but at the same time, I'm like putting off talking about it because it's not an easy thing to talk about. Like, me, I'm always very jovial. Like, I try to not let things bother me. Like,
I'm the same way.
I
don't want to do this show.
Yeah, exactly.
I make no bones about it. And KD, this stretches to before your time with us. I have made
the dark times.
I have made no bones about the fact that I have been a Bray Wyatt fanboy since day one. I found that character captivating, mesmerizing, disturbing, and beautiful.
You want about the original one there? Sorry.
All of the above.
Oh, okay.
Every incarnation of Bray Wyatt. But I found it all just, literally from the word go,
Yeah. It was something
Hooked.
different.
Exactly. And that's what made him beyond great.
Mm.
I want to start off by saying this. I know there are a lot of people out there that did not like Bray Wyatt because oh, it just takes too long and blah 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 blah.
A lot of
So
people didn't get it. It was misunderstood, a lot of it.
right, and
So
I will say this, and I'm going to be very very off-putting on this, and I apologize for nothing. Katie, you might not get the reference because it is an American sport,
okay.
but it's a lot like how people say, I don't like baseball, it moves too slowly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't understand the game of baseball. It's kind of for smart people. So that probably explains why you don't like baseball. I'm sorry that you did not understand and could not grasp what Bray Wyatt was doing, and therefore you didn't like it, because clearly you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Clearly you've never watched a fucking horror movie. Clearly you've never watched any kind of movie that drills into your brain and puts a stick of dynamite in there and just blows everything to hell.
I was expecting a rant to start this one off.
Oh no! Trust me, I can rant about Bray Wyatt until the end of time.
No, I hear you though, because like when I look at the Fiend, especially, like that one was a lot of people were complaining about the stuff that didn't make sense in that, or the stuff that was just kind of went nowhere, and it's like
Dude,
people didn't appreciate so many aspects of that character, like the Fiend especially.
The Fiend was high theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was, as you start to, if you go back and watch that entire story arc, Windham Rotunda did not do anything by mistake.
No.
Everything he said, everything he did meant something, and I will prove it to you with this. He cut a promo in NXT as, fedora wearing Max Cady from Cape Fear, Bray Wyatt.
Which is, So I won't get into that character. Carry on, sorry.
Oh my God.
It's hard, isn't it, to like stick into one place when you think about Bray stuff, because it's all of it is just so much thought and creativity and everything.
It's insanity in the most beautiful way possible.
That's a great way to explain it.
Bray did a vignette talking about the man in the woods. And he was young and he was alone in the woods and he saw this creature with these creepy yellow eyes and pale white skin. And the more he's describing it, you're just like, oh my God, that sounds horrific. And he gets back to the house and Abigail, before Abigail died, she's like, no, baby Bray, you're the man in the woods. Fast forward years later, and that description of the man in the woods fits to a T the Fiend.
Even the concept of being himself and everything. That's perfect. I would not be surprised to learn he always had that idea up there.
There's no way in hell he didn't. That guy was so far ahead. He was 7 moves ahead of himself.
Yeah.
So
he's.
Go ahead.
So it gets into a separate bit. Actually, I'll get to that later. Carry on. Sorry. Make a note.
When the Firefly Funhouse began, we sat here, myself, Brian, and RJ, and we broke down every Firefly Funhouse vignette they did.
Oh, wow.
Brian hated it.
I have heard a bit about this, actually, yeah.
Hated it. And all I kept doing was telling him, Brian, this is going to be a horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so this was even before the Fiend reveal, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Now I'm like, this is a demented Pee-wee's Playhouse, a demented romper room, whatever you want to call it, and this is going to lead to some other personality.
Yep. The most we saw with them was like the flashes, weren't it? Like when he did his bit.
And then, he starts talking about his secret, and he held the paper plate up to his face. And before he even made an appearance, I remember saying, this guy, this whatever the shit this thing is going to be Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees. He's going to be an 80s slasher villain.
I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly how I described him, like, in the past, and people don't get, like, the mindset. And it's like, cause to the point as well, they're like, oh, he just gets beaten up and beaten up and beaten up and then just wins at the end. It's like, yeah, like every 80s horror movie villain. They just get destroyed, like, like they get attacked and they just don't die. They don't die. And then they come after you or something happens, etc. But that's how it all felt to me every time.
Me too. And it all solidified with that Hell in a Cell with Rollins.
Oh, yeah. Which I didn't hate either.
Huh?
I didn't hate all of it. Obviously, the ending, that's different,
I hated the ending, but everything else, I'm like, I'm literally watching it. And
it's like we loved everything that Bray Wyatt had control over.
Yeah. I'm watching it, and I literally just remember, I can't remember if we were over at Brian's house or not, or if this would have been during COVID.
I think it was during COVID, wasn't it? Well, yeah, it wasn't a lot of the Fiend. Was he ever actually, when he started? I'm trying to remember if that was pre-pandemic or not, actually.
Yeah, he started, the Fiends, yes, he did, because his first match was SummerSlam of 19.
Yeah, with Finn.
With Finn. And I was at Brian's house for that one.
Oh, and that entrance as well.
Would you like for me to describe the feel of Brian's living room that night?
God, I'd love you to.
Crickets. You could have heard a damn pin drop.
Oh, because you were so into it, you mean?
Everybody.
Oh, okay.
Brian and his wife are mortified. More Brian than the Lovebird.
Wait, in what way though? What do you mean?
Just like.
Oh, okay.
Just jaws
for anyone
open,
just listening,
eyes wide. Isaac and our buddy Frank, who always sit next to each other, they're stoic, and all you can do, and I'm going to describe it for our podcast audience, just straight faces, but they keep leaning in.
Yeah.
They keep leaning in. There were a couple other people there that were just, you could see the looks on their face. It was just a little uneasy.
Yeah.
And I'm just quietly going.
That's probably more my opinion, my reaction.
And I remember,
you knew something good was coming, but that just.
I remember whispering to myself, "Oh my God, oh my God!" And then because nobody really saw that freaking lantern until he put it on the apron of the ring, and it was a collective gasp, just. And that collective gasp was followed by the maniacal laughter of me. Just like, that is awesome.
And it's amazing as well because, even though it was a brand new character as well, it could have very easily just been anything. But he referenced his old character through all of it, from the lantern to the fact that there was a lantern full stop, the walk, everything, was emulating and changing what was already there. So he kept evolving, which I felt like whatever he would have done, which is the sad part where we remember why we're talking about this now, whatever he would have done, like, he just would have kept evolving and evolving,
Yeah, that's
Yeah. See, it's sad whenever you remember it. Then when you remember this now.
Yeah, because Bray Wyatt becomes a what might have been,
He
a
does.
what
Yeah.
could have been on a
Yeah.
lot of different levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to bring this up because I didn't want to bring this guy into this conversation.
Okay.
But the first big question is, what if Vince would have gotten it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What if Vince would have been like, oh shit, here we go?
Because this is the point as well. We're saying all this, and this is what he was able to do with somebody that, as you said, did never really got it. He still seemed to have some faith in him because he was given a lot more freedom to do a lot of things. So he obviously saw something there.
No, I think what it was he didn't get it, but the
Everyone
fans
else.
did.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he was just going to write it like, okay, they're digging it, so go for it.
Yeah. I forget, to be fair, how many times the Fiend actually, like, how many times has Bray held the title now in all his different personas then? 3. So that was once as
1 WWE, 2 Universal, and a Raw and a SmackDown tag title.
Oh yeah, so he did it with obviously Randy as Thingy.
And Matt Hardy.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, I forgot about that.
The deleter of worlds.
Yeah. It was that, and then it was when he went on then to become the Fiend after that, wasn't it?
No. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Because that tag team had a falling out, and then they had the deletion match at the Hardy compound.
Yeah.
And all that Senor Benjamin found in the Lake of Reincarnation was the lantern.
Oh, oh god, I forgot about all of that completely. See, he's done so many things.
Just now.
How did you feel then about, like, because a lot of people were a lot downer on the new version of Bray that we saw, which you know what, I still like that. Like, I got where he was trying to go, or where it seemed like he might have been trying to go.
I did too, and this is going to be the part where if I'm going to break down, this is going to be it. Because this version of Bray Wyatt that we were seeing before Bray got sick, and for those of you that haven't heard, he
actually what happened,
what actually happened to him. He came down with COVID earlier this year, and it started causing heart problems.
It was an exasperating and existing heart problem we didn't know he had.
Right. And last night it triggered a heart attack.
Even though he got over the illness, apparently, like he was. Last I'd heard, we found out, because we didn't know the whole time. A lot of people thought he was out for mental health issues, but turned out that he was getting over it, and then just happens like that. It's crazy.
And the rumor was he was slated to return at Payback.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
That was the big rumor, that he was slated to return. But what I loved so much about the final incarnation of Bray Wyatt, he started to become very, very open about his own mental health. And if you guys have been watching this show the last year and a half, I've done the exact same thing. So
funny enough, I've had that kind of evolution. I used to hold it in a lot, and I've, like, over the last few years, I've tried to be a lot more open about stuff. So I understand that.
Yeah. My first fear, and I remember telling my mother this as we were talking about it. My first fear was that his demons got him.
That's exactly where my life went first.
And he took his own life because he needed the escape, much like Robin Williams did.
Yeah.
And
with Brody as well, we all know how much she was struggling with the whole Brody thing.
Oh yeah, I thought you I'm like, no, Brody Lee got a lung infection.
No, sorry, I didn't mean the Brody Lee. Yeah.
Brody's death and that effect on Bray. I got you now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, please don't let that be it. And when the news came out, I think it was actually Sean Ross Sapp
Yeah.
that broke the news. I literally thanked God.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a
I'm like,
strange silver lining to take from it, but like
yeah, I
for his
was like,
kids and that, it would be
right.
obviously it's a trauma either way, but it would be a harder trauma, I think, in the long run
Mhm.
for them.
Yeah. But the fact that he was so open about it, and the fact that he leaves behind 4 young kids.
Yeah, that's the saddest.
And yes, there was another death in the wrestling world this week, held 48 hours ago, with the passing of the legend himself, Terry Funk. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about Terry Funk for one simple reason. Terry's career was before our time.
Mm-hmm.
And is it easy to talk about his impact on the business? Yeah. But that is a very short conversation because our experiences with Terry Funk are limited.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it would have been near the end of his career. And for me, it's like Chainsaw Charlie and that, you know, the
Chainsaw
Cell.
Charlie and him winning the ECW championship at barely legal in 96, 95, whenever the ECW's first pay-per-view was. But I mean, KD was, younger than my daughter at that point, and I'm in junior high.
5. Yeah.
I mean, and I was in junior high at this point. I mean, I knew a little bit about Terry Funk because I grew up in the South. So I mean, the rivalry that he had with Flair and all that stuff. But and obviously we acknowledge and we honor the life and the career of Terry Funk, but Bray Bray had the impact on us that Dusty had on the generation before us.
Arguably. And as well, like, it's also I think it goes without saying as well, like, when it's somebody that passes away so unexpectedly at a young age, it hits harder.
KD, they're not supposed to be younger than us, man.
Huh?
They're not supposed to be younger than us.
They're not younger than me, but...
Well, I mean, okay.
I'm a young man. But no, exactly though, man. Like, no, you don't want any of that to happen. And then when everything else is good, like you said, the relationship that we've had with him, obviously it hits harder. Doesn't take anything away from Funk at the same time, of course.
I mean, when Windham Rotunda was born, I was my daughter's age.
Wow.
I mean, I was 9 when he was born. And so, I mean, mid-30s, I'm sorry, but my old ass, you're still a kid.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's bullshit when someone has to go that young.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the part where, my faith gets brought into this. And I'm sure that and yes, I believe in God. And if you don't, okay, cool.
Oh, faith. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said faith.
No.
I have my own beliefs with that stuff. I
But in my belief, his job was done. Whatever whatever that was.
Yeah.
And I know and
well,
it doesn't make
the impact he's had still, like, in that time.
Right.
Like, you can look at that, like, as well. Like, he has still, even though he had a short amount of time, he did more in the wrestling world than people with so a lot of people with full careers,
Right. But I mean, it still doesn't make it any easier.
No, of course, yeah.
So we can talk about all the mourning and all of that stuff, but we on this show, we like to keep it lighthearted. We like to keep it fun. We like to keep it positive because the whole point of this show is the tagline. This is why we love wrestling.
And I think we're going to be... Sorry, I was going to say as well, We're going to be obviously processing this for a while too. People will be remembering and thinking about things. So I'm sure in the next few weeks as well, we'll talk about different things from Bray with Brian and stuff too. So we'll have more. Do you know what I mean?
So, Katie, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm. Shoot, sir.
Keeping the subject matter to Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt only.
Right.
Why do you love wrestling?
That's good. You know what? I love wrestling more than anything for story. I love it for creativity. I love the stories within it, the way it makes you feel, like the seeing something new which doesn't happen that much, so the times when it does, really appreciating that as well. That encompasses Bray Wyatt to me. He's like the epitome of what you can do in wrestling, trying to change things, trying to do different things. Like I said, in a short amount of time, the impact he had with different things he was doing, like he's changed how stories will be told in the future. There'll be so many people that get influence from him, and stories just evolving the characters. That's why I love wrestling, the characters and the creativity in the stories, and that's Bray. He's the epitome of that for me.
I can't say anything else. Yeah. Bray Wyatt will go down as one of the most creative people in the history of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
A genius, a mad scientist.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest storytellers we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be honest, two of the baddest entrance themes in history.
Yeah. Man, I love this newest one too. I really like the new one.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
Shatter is my favorite, but don't get me wrong. The version of the Fiend's theme that Code Orange did, that was nasty.
Yeah. That was one thing I was going to say about Bray as well. There's very few wrestlers that I would, if I see them do something, that I would then show a non-wrestling friend, a friend who's not a fan of wrestling. He's one of the people I've tried to show people,
I do the same thing with Jen, my girlfriend. I try not to beat her over the head with wrestling, even though it's one of my favorite things in the world. But I've shown her videos of the Firefly Funhouse, and the Fiend entrance, and then his entrance at the Royal Rumble for the pitch black match against LA Knight.
Oh yeah.
So I have a story about that, and it involves that entrance and this chair.
So, and then after that, we'll get into a little bit then before we, on the show, about examples of maybe not so much creativity and not so much genius in the ring.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know what I'm going.
So, my daughter has slowly started kind of coming around to wrestling, because as she's getting older, she wants to get into things that Dad likes.
Oh, of course, yeah, it's a lovely time that is.
Earlier this year, she and I went to our very first baseball game, because Atlanta was in Cleveland, and Atlanta's my team. So, Abby went to her very first game. And I think that actually might be the first time I've ever actually mentioned my daughter's name on the show. I always call her the Hurricane or the Kids.
Yeah. I call my kids small people.
But so Royal Rumble this year, Abby asked if she could watch, because it was a Saturday night. I'm like, you know what? Screw it.
Yeah.
You can stay up and watch. If you have any questions, ask.
Oh, yeah.
Pepper me with questions. So she's asking, okay, is this person a good guy or a bad guy? I'm like, that's a bad guy. That's a good guy. Why are they doing this? Well, it's because of this, blah, 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 blah. By the way, first person she gravitates to, it ain't Bray. It was Mommy.
Yeah.
She loves her some Rhea Ripley. So quickly fast forward, she was openly giddy WrestleMania when Rhea beat Charlotte. She was happy. I'm like, my kid's got her first favorite. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good favorite as well.
Yeah, very much so. But so Abs is sitting on the couch over there. LA Knight makes his way out, and she notices that I'm just getting really antsy, and I'm getting excited. And she's like, Daddy, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, kiddo. My favorite is about to come out. And I'm warning you, he's a little creepy. She's like, okay. So obviously the piano starts playing. She gets up from there and she comes and she just curls herself up into my lap because she's a little creeped out.
Yeah, can understand.
You know, he comes out with the lantern and the mask. And if you remember the Rumble entrance, he passes by all of the different Funhouse characters.
I was trying to have a look then to remind me of it.
Uh-huh. And Abby's just getting closer and closer to me. She's like, oh, and I can tell her. He gets into the ring and he's got the lantern and he's spinning around and everybody has their cell phone flashlights out.
Yeah.
And I feel my daughter relax because, and I look at her and she's just, and she looked at me, she went, that's cool. Do they always do that? I'm like, yeah. And then I explained to her what the fireflies were.
Yeah. Oh, that part. Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, that's cool. I like him. I'm like, he's going to creep you out. Okay.
And then the lights went down.
The lights went down and she just keeps going, Daddy, that's creepy. I'm like, yeah, but it's also cool. But
pretty much the epitome of his career.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's creepy, but damn, it's cool.
Whether he was, you know, his own version of Max Cady from Cape Fear, because damn it, that's what the original Bray Wyatt was. It was Max Cady from Cape Fear.
I have heard this. I've never watched that, but I've heard that that's what it was based on.
It's a great movie. And the coolest thing is, my buddy Guillermo, who is now the social media director for Skybound Games, which is really cool because Skybound just released a wrestling RPG game called WrestleQuest.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I've seen advertised on YouTube.
Yeah, he's the social media director for Skybound Games. And he has been, and so he's been kind of telling me, like, this game's going to be awesome. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm going to.
You'll need to give me his contact details and I'll try and get him as a sponsor in that case.
Yeah, I've already tried. I've already tried.
I'll get him on mine.
But Guillermo, before he graduated from Full Sail, was a social media intern in NXT.
Oh, wow.
So he would tell me, he's the one, Guillermo would tell me, I know you haven't watched wrestling in a while, dude, but you got to watch NXT. There's a guy that's really creepy that I think you'd dig. His name's Bray Wyatt. I'm like, he's like, do you remember Husky Harris? Yeah. It's him. I'm like, oh, God, really? He's like,
so you went off for a little bit then.
Just trust me. Do you remember when you didn't trust me about Breaking Bad? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, you got to trust me here.
Well, that's weird that Breaking Bad's been around before Bray Wyatt. That's so strange.
Well,
it makes sense now I'm thinking of it in my timeline in my head. It makes perfect sense.
For me, it was the first season. We're talking about the first season of Breaking Bad. And I was like, he was like, you got to start watching this. I'm like, oh, I watched the first episode. It didn't get me. He went, you got to keep watching. I'm like,
yeah.
all right, I'm like, okay, I watched the first couple episodes. I'm still not impressed. All right, I'll make you a deal. If you can get to the part where you meet Tuco and you're not hooked, then you can stop watching.
Yeah.
I watched that episode. The whole warehouse blows up, and I text Gear, and I'm like, "You son of a bitch!"
Man, I was hooked from the guy going through the bathtub.
Yeah,
All of that whole stuff.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah.
But
Second episode I was in.
The part with Tuco, I was like, okay, I'm good, asshole. But anyway, he was like, he said, first off, NXT is great. That's great wrestling, blah, blah, blah. But this character. And I watched it because it was on Hulu at the time. And again, I DM him, you son of a bitch. I'm like, I'm hooked.
Probably a reason that he manages the social media stuff then for people, like literally knows what people will like.
Yeah, he's damn good at his job.
Yeah.
I mean,
there you go, glowing reference there for you, sir.
Well, yeah. With some of the stuff he's done in his career beyond that internship, yeah, he's got a resume that speaks for itself.
And now he's got a Wrestling with Ego seal of approval as well, so that's just going to help. You're going to go places now.
He's had that.
You get that, yeah, but now, okay. You got the KD seal of approval though.
He's had it for years. He had the seal of approval when it was audibly offensive radio, when it was the old podcast that I used to do. Anyway, I kind of went way off track, but
still on track.
I have, I don't think there's anybody, even, dare I say, even The Undertaker, that has been as captivating as Bray Wyatt.
I don't know about it. So it's hard to really put that into like quantifiable thing, and it's dead. Even though they're the same, they're different because it's a different audience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And maybe me saying that, it sounds better in my head, and I can explain it better in my own mind than I can verbally.
I would say he was probably more impactful in a shorter amount of time. I think there's an argument to that there. And
there's no question.
Yeah, his level of reinvention was on the Undertaker's level as well. Probably more so actually, because the Undertaker was still only two-tone kind of thing. So there's arguments to it. You got lost in thought then, didn't you, a bit?
No, I got distracted by something. Sorry.
All right. So, should we go on to now then? Because I think we should we're going to continue talking about Bray over the next few weeks. I think I know I'll want to.
Right. Well, yeah, I think it's probably best that we just kind of move on and discuss the other piece of business.
Yeah.
And that is, the biggest show in wrestling history. Which
it is the biggest show in wrestling history. It's the biggest show in the free world of history of wrestling. No, the biggest wrestling show of the free world.
People, yeah, as far as like the biggest crowd, yes, it's going to be the biggest crowd in wrestling history, not of a show that did not happen in North Korea.
There you go. Yeah, these people that choose to go of their own.
Right. These people are all going to be there of their own free will, not because of penalty of death.
No.
But this also isn't the most important wrestling show in history, like so many people have said. Because I'm sorry, that is, and will always be WrestleMania 3.
Man, if we're talking importance, this is way down the list.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's a bit of a glorified house show.
This isn't even the most important show in AEW history, and I will tell you why in a little bit.
Not the most important this month. You got a pay-per-view the week after, where you're probably going to have most of the feud enders.
That was exactly my point. The reason that All In is not the most important show in AEW history is because All Out is next week.
Yeah, it just,
So
you know, it
so
just
so
doesn't
so
work.
so yes, let's have a date with a supermodel, and then next week have a date with just a really cute chick.
Oh man, supermodels are annoying though, to be fair.
Well,
But
yeah.
so is London, so actually that might work,
There you go.
There you go.
But
I've got an opinion or a theory on why they've done that though. Do you want to hear?
yeah, please do.
I think that, understandably so, I'm not saying I agree with this, but I think, understandably so, they weren't sure how All In was going to go, if they were going to sell many tickets at all, if it was going to go out, if UK really even cared about them that much. I think they really didn't have much faith in it, so they thought, we'll do that. And then they hadn't even announced it was televised or anything, so for all we knew, it could have just ended up being a house show if it didn't sell well, so they could save face, and then they'd have the pay-per-view afterwards. I think this is maybe just like way um, blown their expectations out of the water. And they should have then moved All Out. They shouldn't do All Out. That's the one big mistake they're doing. They should move that completely
I
and do
agree.
this as the full, feud enders. There's not enough feud enders for me.
No, I don't think so either, because I mean, to me, this is a lot like SummerSlam 2020 when they had Payback the very next week,
Oh, why did they do that?
because Roman came back at SummerSlam and then won the title the very next week.
I don't remember
By
that.
the
That's so
way,
random.
by the way, kind of tying that back in,
Hmm.
Roman is still the Universal Champion and has been ever since Payback of 2020. Who'd he beat?
Yeah, the Fiend.
He beat the Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
One of the
looking
many
at
bad booking choices that the Fiend had to pull off.
yeah, like losing to Goldberg.
Yeah.
Moving on. Back
At
to
least he got up straight away though. So for me, I was like, horror movie status still intact. That was just the end of one of the films where he was on the floor for a bit longer and then he popped back up still.
yeah, this is true.
Oh, that works.
But let's talk about this card, because
Go on.
they went full bore on this card, man. This is a loaded card. And
Okay.
I mean, huh?
Oh, I don't know if I agree.
You don't?
I don't know. Go on, no, I might change my mind hearing them,
All right. So even the pre-show for AEW Zero
Yeah.
Hour, it's the Ring of Honor tag titles with Aussie Open defending against MJF and Adam Cole.
Better than you, baby.
Right. That adds a whole new wrinkle to the entire show, because Adam Cole and MJF is for the title.
And it's such a smart
Let me
business idea.
rephrase that. Adam Cole and MJF is for the title.
Huh?
Adam Cole has said it was for the title. The announcers have said it's for the title. MJF hasn't said a damn thing about it being for the title.
I think he has. That was exactly what he said. Because he said, I promised you a title shot when we did this, and I'm going to go through with that. That's exactly what he said.
I seem to recall that he hasn't. Maybe I'm wrong.
I might be wrong too, to be fair.
Which, if I'm wrong, that completely shoots my theory completely right in the nuts.
Go on, what were we going to say, though?
Anyway, it adds a whole new wrinkle because the opening match has a direct tie into the main event.
Yeah, it does anyway, doesn't it, though?
Yeah. But going up the card, it's a trios match with Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Kosuke Takeshita against Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, and Kota Ibushi. Got a coffin match, Sting and Darby versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage.
Now, yeah, because AR Fox apparently hasn't been out of America for like 16 years, and this was very last minute. He told him he couldn't go, and apparently there's heat on him now.
Yeah, very much so. Real quick.
It didn't make sense at all, let's be honest.
Real quick, something else that's also happened in the last week and change actually was happening this time last week as we were recording this show. Edge had what might very well be either his last match ever or his last match for now or his last match in WWE. And I'm just going to flat out say it. If Adam Copeland shows up on AEW, I'm going to vomit.
Oh, I think he will eventually. He's not going to do it all in like people think. He's not legally allowed to.
I'll throw up for the simple fact of you had that great of a career and you're going to... You spent your entire career playing... It would be like Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, playing his entire career for the Lakers and then playing one season for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, but the Charlotte Hornets might give him 3 times whatever the other guys did for that one season. Yeah. And he gets to end it out on his own terms because they let everybody do whatever they want with his best mate as well. That's one part of it, I think. That's why.
I don't want Adam Copeland going to a promotion where every other person that walks through those doors gets lost in the shuffle within 2 weeks. He'll make his debut. Oh my God, it's amazing. Adam Copeland is all elite. And then we won't see his ass for 6 freaking weeks.
Although with him, I don't want to see him doing crazy wrestling matches all the time anyway, so that might not be a bad thing.
But that...
If he came in and did... Hopefully, he has got one of those minds where he knows what he needs to do if he's doing a proper story. So I hope he would come in and make them do it like... But
I don't want to see them do to him, who is one of my top 3 favorites of all time. I do not want to see them do to him what they have done to everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not want Adam Copeland to get the Keith Lee treatment. Oh my God, Keith Lee's in AEW. And then we don't see him for 6 months after his debut.
Yeah. I mean...
Moving on.
Yeah. Go on,
we will get me on a rant mode that I will not be able to come back from.
Okay, cool. I don't disagree with what you say, anyway.
So back to it. Stadium Stampede. The very first international Stadium Stampede.
Phoenix is out.
Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, Eddie Kingston, Penta, and a mystery partner versus Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, Santana Ortiz, and a mystery partner.
Yeah. I wonder if I would just get rid of the last mystery partner now. Do you know what I mean? Make it 5-on-5.
I would, yeah.
But they could throw someone else on, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many options. I mean, especially going overseas. They could throw a lot of stuff at this, and it could be fun.
Yeah.
I always like the Stadium Stampedes because they're very cinematic, and they do AEW has done a very good job with every Stadium Stampede they've done.
Yeah, they really have. It's weird how they've managed to make them feel different than your average hardcore match. It feels different.
Yeah, I mean, they've done it multi-camera. I mean, they have done a phenomenal job with every one of them. I would much rather see a Stadium Stampede than I would an Anarchy in the Arena or Blood and Guts.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't like the way they shoot Blood and Guts. I don't.
They do have issues, don't they? Actually, every time.
I can't put my finger on it, but it's something about camera angles and it's something about the way the cage looks and stuff like that. There's just something visceral about it that I don't like.
Yeah.
Which is hard for me to say because Blood and Guts is War Games. And I have a massive hard-on for War Games.
That might be why you're more critical of it, though, because you know what you like.
No, it's...
I just mean, if it doesn't feel right, then you notice it more,
Well, WWE's version of War Games doesn't feel right either because there's not a top on the damn cage. But guess what? I still like it. I still like the way it's shot. It's visually pleasing.
That's the one thing. So I was going to say, that's the one thing that always lets me down with AEW's production value in some manner.
Oh, my God. They have botched, some of the wrestlers in AEW are walking botch machines, but the directors in the truck are just as bad.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. Back to the card though.
Hmm?
The real World Championship, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. I'm sorry, but we could have a best 5 of 7 here. Give me them every damn week.
Yeah.
Trios World Championship, the House of Black defending against the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. Women's World Championship, Hikaru Shida defending against Britt Baker, Toni Storm, and Saraya.
The best women, probably.
If Wembley Stadium had a roof on it, when Saraya's music hits, they'd blow the damn roof sky high.
Wait, I didn't think about that. Do we have a roof that we can put over on Wembley Stadium if it rains? Will we have to do a weather break or anything?
I don't know.
I haven't thought about. I think, you know what? No, they must have a roof because we do football all the time, and it's England. It rains a lot here, even when it's warm. Even in the summer, it rains all the time. So no, that can't be a issue. So yeah.
Okay, so retractable, like a lot of American football stadiums are now.
I imagine so.
All right, but okay, if they got the lid on that sumbitch when Saraya's music hits, they're gonna blow that sumbitch sky high.
You reckon?
I mean, that is going to be the equivalent of CM Punk walking out in Chicago or Johnny Gargano walking out in Cleveland.
So you reckon Saraya will get the biggest pop of the night then? Going by the people we know, unless somebody pops up that we don't know about.
Saraya, I don't know about the biggest pop of the night, but definitely the biggest pop of that match.
Oh, that might not be. Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, you froze. Oh, okay, you're back.
No, I mean, I don't think that's even a stretch. I mean, look at the card. She's the only Brit on the card. And I don't mean Britt Baker. I mean British chick.
Oh, British woman. Yeah, the British guys.
I'm sorry. There's another Brit on there. Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho.
Yeah. I think from what I've heard, like a lot of the indie people, the British indie people love Ospreay.
Oh my God, yeah.
He could get a huge pop, I think.
I think Saraya will too, because this, much like Edge returning, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah. You might be right, actually. That's going to be interesting to see.
If there were Vegas odds on who gets a bigger pop between Ospreay and Saraya, I'd be willing to put money on Saraya.
Yeah, because I suppose you got like the mainstream audience like her too, so you might be right. Because a lot of people, the mainstream audience don't know Ospreay,
Right, and also, if you're a wrestling fan, you know her story.
Yeah.
She is British. Correct me if I'm wrong, because this is what we've always been told here in America. Saraya is British wrestling royalty.
Wow. I mean, there's not really much. I don't know where those people would be that you'd ask. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, probably before my time, a lot of it. I don't know. I'd never really heard much of it before, but I hadn't heard much of wrestling indie in general. I wouldn't be the best wrestling fan to ask for that.
Right. But I mean, her family has a long lineage in wrestling.
Yeah, it seems so.
She's another part of that legacy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm saying. She's like her family is one of, like Cody Rhodes. In Cody Rhodes' entrance, wrestling has more than one royal family.
Yeah.
Well, as far as British wrestling is concerned, she's a member of a royal family.
Yeah, definitely now if it's gained that level.
Yeah. So I totally think that she's going to get a massive pop.
You're probably right, actually. You might be very right there.
You got Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. And yes, please.
Yeah, Ospreay is somebody that I'd heard of and I'd not really seen much of.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's impressed me every time I've seen him.
Will Ospreay is fantastic.
He really is. Everything about
and-
that promo the other day as well.
And Jericho, I don't care that he's over 50. Jericho can still carry his weight in the ring.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great match.
That really is. And the crowd's going to be hyped for that.
Oh, my God, yeah. Because not only is it Ospreay, Jericho is singing himself to the ring.
Is he?
Fozzy's playing live.
Oh, I didn't know that.
From my understanding, Fozzy has a show at the O2 the night before.
Oh, wow. Oh, I hope he doesn't think, but he's going to be gassed by the time he starts, though, man. That ain't going to be good for him. I don't mean that meanly, Jericho, but
who cares? And then the last two for the AEW World Tag Team Championship, FTR defending against the Young Bucks, and then the World.
Happen.
Say what?
Which we was worried wouldn't happen for a bit, but it seems to be all okay. So
yeah, Anyway, I got my own thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. I think the Bucks are putting themselves over.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and for no reason at all. Well, you know what? We've been focusing on the trios for a while. Now we want the tag titles. Oh, we're just going to, instantly get a title shot.
If they were self-aware at all, they'd be like, oh, let's put FTR over, because a lot of fans still aren't sure about us because of all the brawl-out stuff. But no, I think they'll put themselves over.
They're not self-aware. They're self-serving.
Yep.
And I'm glad RJ's not on this show, because RJ would tell me how absolutely wrong I am. I
like Omega.
I do too. I've never been a fan of the Bucks.
I agree.
They just don't do anything for me. Hey, Grant, the highlights are great, but it's just like, okay.
Yeah, Nick, sometimes I appreciate Nick's athleticism. He's a good athlete with some of the stuff he does.
They're fantastic athletes, but to me, they are a pro wrestling equivalent of the NBA slam dunk contest. It's just highlight after highlight after highlight.
That's one of my biggest gripes with AEW style of wrestling in general, is the general spot fest and near falls after near falls, and that does seem to be has come from the Bucks kind of style.
Jon Moxley, in the last 7 days, hit the double arm DDT, Death Rider, Paradigm Shift, whatever the shit he calls it, from the second rope.
And
the bastard kicked out.
That was ridiculous.
No.
Who was it again? Because it was whoever it was. I was like him as well. Who was it?
No,
it was somebody.
I'm sorry, but if you do a move like that, that's a freaking wrap.
Yeah, it really should be. You should finish the match most of the time anyway, let alone off the top rope or second rope, whatever.
Yeah, how many times, and I know it was very rare, but how many times did we ever see John Cena hit the AA from the second rope?
Yeah,
maybe 10.
What about Randy Orton?
By the way, 10 out of 10. Every time he hit it, game over.
Yeah. Which is what a finisher should be. That's the one of the huge gripes I've had with AEW.
Yeah.
Who was that against? That's bothering me now. Who was he facing that did that?
I don't recall.
Oh, well, look, see while we finish off the thingy.
But anyway, and obviously the main event for the AEW World Title, MJF, Adam Cole. Instead of doing, well, Brian's not here. You know what?
Oh, it was Ray Phoenix. Sorry.
That's right. It was Ray Phoenix.
Yeah. Okay, it's not too bad then. At least it was somebody that I like.
Right. Let's kind of look at all these matches. What do you think is going to be the match that steals the show?
It's hard, man. Going through it as well, it does feel a bit more stacked now, so I'm going to change my opinion slightly with that. You're right. I don't know. It could be for me, Jericho and
Ospreay.
Yeah, it really could be.
You know what mine is? And I can't believe I'm saying it because I don't like the guy.
Go on.
It's Pumpkin Joe.
Oh, you reckon?
I think it's going to be Pumpkin Joe.
Well, do you think that will get just the best pop or the best match?
It'll be the best. It will be No, it will be the match that gets the biggest pop because it'll be, well, let me rephrase that. It'll be the match that steals the show because it will be the one that hooks everybody. I don't think it'll be the best match on the show, though.
Okay.
Best match on the show is going to be FTR and the Bucks.
Yeah, you're probably right there, actually. Because when the Bucks are guided, man, they can be killer. They can be good.
Every match they have had with FTR has been a clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing this in front of 8,000 plus. Yeah. This match is going to rule.
It's going to be a spectacle, man, the whole night.
Because it is a match between one of the most exciting, flashy, highlight reel tag teams versus arguably from a mat-based storytelling perspective, the best tag team of all time.
Arguably, yeah.
I mean, and FTR can have a great match with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I look for that one to be an absolute banger. Then again, dude, you can literally look at this card and go, everybody that has a match, they could come through the curtain at the end of the match, look at the rest of the roster and go, all right, follow that, bitches.
Yeah.
And then the next match can go out, have their match, come back and go, all right, now you follow that, bitches. And this card is stacked to the point where the bar can just keep getting raised over and over and over again.
To be fair, you're not wrong, and there's like a bit of everything in there as well, because you got like the proper matches that, like you said, will be like a clinic, and then you got your spot fest with your weapons. And I'm a bit of a sucker for your spot festy weapon matches, so I'm looking forward to the coffin match, for example.
You're gonna have the coffin match.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
That's good. That's gonna be a train wreck.
Sting, man, he just doesn't age now.
Because Sting's old ass is gonna try something.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, what the hell is he doing? He's over 60. What is he doing? And then, of course, Darby's going to do something stupid.
Yeah. And then with the Stadium Stampede as well, you got that added extra bit of who the mystery people are. And that's going to be fun, whoever they get.
Not just that, but there's always a little bit of comedy in every one of them. And you know where the comedy's coming from in this one. It's going to be something that Orange Cassidy does.
Probably. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, because there's no big. You remember the old Stadium Stampedes? They had like an actual empty stadium to use, didn't they? Like, there's not bags of space, like.
Oh, there's catacombs and corridors. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, they'll do a lot of that shit backstage. And honestly and surely, I think I know who might be that mystery, unless I'm missing something, that mystery partner for the good guys.
Mm.
What about Pac?
He's injured.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I thought about that at first as well.
I'm about to say, well, Penta's there. Phoenix is out. It's Pac.
I'm trying to remember what he's injured. Because he literally came back and got like injured like so quickly.
Oh.
To the real shame again.
I haven't really watched a Dynamite or a Rampage or a Collision in months, because there's really not a whole lot to what they're doing that I'm like,
there's really not, man. I've missed a lot. Miro's one of the few people who's actually been announced for an all-out show, an all-out match instead. He's facing Hobbs.
Oh, okay.
Which will be fun. Big beefy men slapping meat and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I love Miro.
Miro needs to do more.
I'm starting to become a fan of Hobbs too.
Yeah,
Hobbs is starting to grow on me.
Apparently, I've always hoped that Keith Lee was going to do more, but I've heard that he's walked out of AEW, or I'm not sure how verified that's been yet, but there's something to that apparently now.
I hope so, because, he's been, people bitched and moaned because Keith Lee was completely wasted in WWE, which he was.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was, Keith Lee comes to AEW, wow, there's no way they could make it worse for Keith Lee than WWE did. And somehow they found a way to F it up even more than WWE did.
Somehow they got his partner over, because I like Swerve. He's just something to him. I'm tired of the mogul MC
I
and them.
think Swerve is fantastic. I think
Yeah.
Keith Lee is fantastic.
Yeah.
All you have to do with Keith Lee is say, take your big ass to the ring and show off.
Just be you. Give him an actual match. Give him a storyline, not a match, sorry. That isn't Swerve.
All you have to do is look at every rivalry he had in NXT. He had a great rivalry with Adam Cole. He had a good rivalry with Karrion Kross before, title changes and injuries and everything else. And then he had that rivalry with Dijakovic.
Yeah.
Sweet jumped up Jesus.
Yeah.
Um,
Keith Lee popping up in that Stadium Stampede, that would be great, but I just don't think that's going to happen now. He could do, though.
And honestly and truly, if Adam Copeland is going to go to AEW, can we just trade?
Yeah.
We'll let Edge go finish his career over there, begrudgingly, but let's bring Keith Lee back to WWE, and we'll actually freaking do something. Oh my God. Could you imagine Keith Lee in an Intercontinental program with Gunther?
Wow, I want that now. Now you said it, I want it.
Don't get me wrong. The shit that Gunther's doing right now with Gable has been boss.
He's actually officially now going to be breaking the Honky Tonk Man's record, isn't he, then?
Yep, he sure is.
Few days or something.
Yep, he sure is.
Yeah.
The longest reigning Intercontinental champion of all time.
And then are they, doing this with Gable for him to actually take the title? Is that these few little wins? No. They're teasing that, though. I think that's why they're trying to make you think that he'll win it. They
teased it with Mustafa Ali going into Night of Champions.
No, but I mean right now, just for the fact that everybody knows that as he's coming up to it now, it's like, well, you're not going to lose it just before, are you? That's silly. As soon as he passes the Honky Tonk Man, then it's free game.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've also thought, okay, Roman passes 1,000 days. It's fair game.
Yeah, don't tell me. I know.
And now it's just like, I don't know when Roman's losing it. By the way, I know when Roman's losing it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Enlighten us?
Mania.
We said that for the last two.
I'll tell you right now what's gonna happen.
Go on.
He's gonna drop it at Mania to Cody. Cody will not win the Rumble.
Hey, paint me a story.
Cody will not win the Rumble. Somebody else will win the Rumble, and they will challenge Rollins.
Okay.
And then Cody will see that opportunity to take his ass over to SmackDown and say, I still have a story to finish.
When the draft's after WrestleMania, isn't it?
It
doesn't matter. I know.
They're going to give us 7 shits about the draft.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, damn effort, please.
Yeah, what am I on about? They stopped caring about the draft like 3 weeks after it was done.
3 seconds after it was done.
Yeah.
But no, that's my thought. Cody will beat Roman at WrestleMania 40.
That would be the right way, because he can't take the world title from Seth or whoever's got it at that point, because it just wouldn't be finishing the story that he's started now. It just wouldn't work.
Right. And honestly, truly, here's what I think is going to happen. Because the last time I called a Mania this early, I turned out to be dead right. Because I remember about this time in 2019, I went, Drew McIntyre is going to win the Rumble and he's going to beat Brock.
Okay. That was a good shout.
Yeah. Finn's going to win the Rumble. and he's going to get
Fucking
Rollins.
hope not.
No. Finn's going to win the Rumble. He's going to beat Rollins. And then Priest is going to cash in.
Oh, I am so already tired of Finn and Seth. I like the Judgment Day, but I'm getting bored of the Judgment Day.
Yeah, you know what about the Judgment Day is keeping me invested? I want someone to murder Dom.
Yeah.
He is doing such a phenomenal job. Because what do I say on this show all the time? If you're a bad guy, your goal is to want to make people pay their hard-earned money to see you get the shit kicked out of you.
There's very few real heels in wrestling now.
And Dominic Mysterio, I want someone to rip his head off.
He is.
I viscerally hate him. And I turn the TV off and I'm like, son of a bitch, he's got me.
He is good at what he's doing.
I really want to see somebody beat the bejesus out of him.
He's really doing such a good job of working with what he's got. Like, he's got that creativity as well that we've been talking about. Like, that level of thinking about things, like connecting. Like, maybe he's got something there like that as well.
Yeah, my God. But
now I think all in will be good. I think it's going to be. It is. You're right. It's whereas it may be the largest number of people, it's not the most important show that's ever been. No. It's not the most impactful at all. It's going to be a fun show, very fun.
Very.
And I guarantee you, the British crowd will be pumped and now make it more fun.
I will say this. I think that this could end up being one of the most influential shows in wrestling history. Yeah. And here's why. If this hits as big as people think it will hit, you know what this is going to do, don't you? It's going to force WWE's hand.
Yeah.
To have WrestleMania in London.
That's why John Cena mentioned it as well, because they're going to want to one-up him, especially as how well it's done now.
WrestleMania at Wembley would do those same numbers.
Yeah.
On 2 nights.
Yeah, it would. It definitely would.
And if All In on Sunday is the success that people think it will be, WWE's hand will be forced.
To be fair, I think that side of what you're saying is probably already been done enough. The numbers would be all I think that they would need, because the level of how well AEW puts on their show will be meaningless to them. They'll be like, well,
No, it's a numbers thing.
Exactly, yes, so the numbers are already there.
It's going to be how much actually was the gate.
Oh, of course, yeah, they always talk about that, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, and we're talking, people are saying that this is going to be a gate in the tens of millions of dollars.
Oh, so on about then, like, how much, like, they essentially took from just the ticket sales alone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, not just the gate, but not just the box office gate, but, how much in terms of, like, pay-per-view buys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because, pay-per-view buys are going to be driven primarily from an American audience. So you have to factor those pay-per-view buys versus Peacock subscriptions. And would people stop to see WrestleMania in London starting at 1 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday?
Oh, I don't know about that. 1 p.m. That'd be a bit weird.
Well, that's what time All In starts over here. It's 1 p.m.
Oh, okay, got you. Sorry, okay, I'm with you. Of
Yeah, it's
course, you're
one
looking
in
at it from that side, yeah.
yeah, it's it'll be 1 in the afternoon when the show starts. And I don't know if that's 0 hours starting at 1 p.m. or if that's the actual main card starting at 1 p.m.
Yeah. I think from what I've seen, they're advertising it mainly from 0 hour starting, so it's probably that. From what I've seen, anyway, I think it's 5 p.m. 0 hour start over here, so however that works out.
So it is almost 10 o'clock here. What time is it over there?
Almost 3.
10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. So 5-hour difference. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine so because they're trying to push like the pre-show so much. So that's the one thing as well. That whole putting them. A lot of people are poo-pooing that, that you're giving away something like that on the free pre-show, but it's so smart.
Why?
Okay.
Because something's going to happen in that tag match that's going to have an impact on the main event.
Man, even if nothing happens, people are still gonna be. Yeah, well, I suppose either way, it's gonna be an impact, but yeah, straight up.
Kitty.
You watched that chicken thing I sent you, didn't you? The hot ones with MJF and Adam Cole. That was great.
First off, I love that YouTube channel, First We Feast. So with
Yeah.
And Truth or Dab, I love that show anyway. And if you've never really watched it, watch the one with the Undertaker.
Oh, I've watched them all as well.
Oh, it is so that tastes like a yak's ass on fire.
And Stone Cold like powering through, man. The wrestlers power through them, to be fair.
Oh yeah, no, the scary one. Did you ever watch the show? And I think it might have been on Netflix. It was the show Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh,
Jenna
yeah, Jenna.
Ortega went through that and was like, "Oh wow, that's tasty." Just stone cold the whole way through. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. I have noticed on that, women just seem to be much better at handling spice and that than guys. Guys fall apart, man.
Oh my God. And I think one of my favorite episodes is actually Idris Elba.
Oh.
Because he is suffering. And he's like, whose fucking idea was this? They point to somebody off camera and he goes, I'm gonna kick your ass later.
I'm still a mark for the Gordon Ramsay one as well.
Oh my God, the Gordon Ramsay one. He is dying. But yeah, so how spicy do you like your shit?
You know what? This is one of the weird things. I used to be really into spice. Like, I'd like the really spicy stuff. Like, the Japanese restaurant I go to, and I've tried everything on there. But then after the pandemic, or through the pandemic or sometime, I lost my spice ability just depleted.
Did you end up with COVID, or did it just?
I think if I did, like a lot of people, I was an asymptomatic one, so I just didn't know.
Okay.
But because I wasn't testing like loads, I just wasn't going out a lot during a lot of that. I was probably like home, and I was enjoying that. I was chilling.
I like some spicy stuff, but I have to be careful because if I get something that's a little too spicy, it'll run right through me.
Oh, the ring thing.
Oh. Oh my God. So generally for me, if I'm going to go out and I'm going to have wings, just like traditional buffalo style wings with the buffalo sauce and everything, I'm generally a medium kind of guy. So, 3,000, 4,000 Scoville units. That's about it for me. So I went to a place that's here in Northeast Ohio, and I had their medium wings because that's generally what I do. And these medium wings were hotter than hell. I'm like, oh my God, these are hot. Are you sure this is medium? Yeah, that's our medium sauce. I'm like, oh Jesus God. I'm like, wow, it's really tasty. It's really flavorful. It's really delicious. But my God, my mouth's on fire.
Man.
We are now crossing the threshold of TMI. You've been warned. My butthole was singing a Johnny Cash song the next day. It was a ring of fire.
Yeah.
I'm
It
literally,
hurt itself
I'm
today.
in the bathroom just like, I'm sweating from head to toe,
See, I've never had that.
putting toilet paper to my butt was painful.
I seem to have an iron stomach. So many people have talked about that to me, but I've never had that through all my spice eating. Never had like a particularly bad poop the next day or anything.
That's the only time it's ever happened to me. And I've had some really hot ass Thai food before.
I tell you, the spiciest thing I've ever had. I've had a lot of random stuff, but this was post losing my ability for spice as well. It wasn't even that long ago. It was probably like 5 months ago, something like that, on the KD Comedy podcast. No, the KD Comedy official page on YouTube. Me and my main podcast partner, Nathan Parrish, another comic, we had the what's it called? The Packy One Chip Challenge thing. Oh my god, dude, it's death. It's pure death.
Not just it, in a word, no. In 2 words, hell no.
Man, it's bad. Nathan was all like, he was like, "No, I'm gonna be okay with this. It's fine." And then he had it, and then he just went silent, like, and then he just broke. Like, I was already running around like dancing and doing stuff. Like, I was all right. I think I handled it a bit better than him in the long run, but I couldn't eat it all though, because it was just hard to eat, and I just couldn't eat it all. And he just wolfed the whole fucking thing down in one go. I don't have to chew game for it.
I will take 5 chops from Walter before I ever ate one of those fuckers. Not a chance. I would let Walter chop me the wrong way and tear off a nipple.
Oh man, it was hellacious.
Before I ever ate a 1 chip challenge.
I don't blame you. Anything you have to handle with gloves before eating, it just doesn't go. It doesn't sound good. I really want to do like a full lineup of stuff again, though. Like work up to it, like a hot ones thing. I want to do a proper full hot ones. That'd be cool.
We can make a show out of that.
Yeah, definitely.
We can make a show out of that.
You can get them as well. Yeah, but then you'd have to do them as well. Okay, there you go then. We'll make Brian as well.
Oh my god. All right, so story time with Patrick Swafford, baby. Since we're way off topic.
Yeah.
So there is a local restaurant here in Northeast Ohio called Melt, and it's grilled cheese. And they do some hardcore stuff. Like, for example, one of my favorite things on the menu is a grilled cheese that they call the Cuban War Pig.
It's an amazing name.
It's their take on a Cuban sandwich. Imagine if a Cuban sandwich was a grilled cheese.
So, I don't know a Cuban sandwich.
A Cuban sandwich is pulled pork, ham, pulled pork, ham.
I'm already happy.
Onion, pickle, and brown mustard.
Too much grown stuff on a burger is bad.
Well,
too much rabbit food on food makes Carl KD unhappy.
The pickle gives it that acidity, and it's fantastic. And Swiss cheese.
Oh, Swiss cheese annoys me though because there's too many holes in it. I feel like they're ripping me off.
Well, Swiss cheese, once it's in that form, it just melts like a son of a bitch, so you'll never notice.
Okay, I'll give it then.
Swiss cheese is just a super melty cheese, and it's delicious. Anyway,
I do love cheese.
So they have an eating challenge there. You get a 7-layer grilled cheese, a pound of coleslaw, and a pound of French fries. And their French fries are the real thin fries.
Yeah.
And you can take some malt vinegar and just.
So what's the challenge? How long do you have?
Anyway, you have as long as you want, but you can't get up. No bathroom breaks. No nothing.
Oh wow, okay.
So years ago, one Brian Aloysius Krigo got dared to do the melt challenge by me. And he was like, I can do this. I can do this. I have a big appetite. I haven't eaten anything in 24 hours. I'll be able to do this.
Brian, you're the smart one.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't that day.
He had a day off.
He wasn't that day. And I videoed for posterity this poor son of a bitch suffering. And he suffered.
Oh, man, yeah. As soon as that cheese sauce harden up as well.
Oh, yeah. No, he got about halfway through it. And when he tapped out, he asked for boxes. And he was like, you can take some of this home with you. I'm like, gladly.
I'm guessing, is it one of them where it's like you get it for free if you do it as well?
I think you get it for free. You get a T-shirt and you get your picture on the wall.
Yeah, I guess there wasn't many pictures on the wall.
Oh, there were plenty.
Oh, okay.
There were plenty. The melt challenge. The melt challenge is a well-known thing in Northeast Ohio.
Oh, okay. One of the people travel to.
Well-known thing.
Yeah.
There was a show that used to be on the Food Network.
Man versus Food.
Man versus. And Adam Rickman did that. Did the melt challenge at the original melt in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him do one of them. So I've seen him do a few. I've definitely seen him do giant cheese sandwich things.
Yeah, there's an episode of Man vs. Food where he ends the show in Cleveland, Ohio, doing the melt challenge because the shirt that they were giving out at the time was kind of stylized like a Kiss shirt.
Oh, okay.
So instead of like the Kiss Army, it was the Melt Army.
All right. Whatever floats your boat, I guess.
But anyway, yeah, Brian and I had a bet for that. Loser had to buy a really nice round of golf.
Oh, okay. Hopefully not on the same day, though.
No, say what?
Hopefully not on the same day, though, because I can't imagine Brian would have enjoyed walking around.
No. The melt challenge was done in like late July, early August, and the golf was for our birthday because Brian and I, our birthdays are like 4 or 5 days apart.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up going to Ironwood Golf Club in Hinckley, Ohio, and got massacred. I don't think either one of us shot below a 140.
It means nothing to me.
That course ate our asses alive.
Oh my God, that sounds like a terrible thing. I hope you reported that. Some people would pay good money for that.
I love golf, but it's like an abusive relationship.
Yeah. With a really thin person.
Yeah, it's just like, I love playing it, but when I play like shit, it's just like, I love her, but she beats me with everything she can get her hands on once I get home. It's like the freaking Rihanna Eminem song. It's like Love the Way You Lie.
Love the Way You Lie. That's what I was trying to. No, yeah, Monster.
Like, it's an abusive relationship. It's why I haven't really played much golf this year. I've stuck to mini golf.
I was going to say I've played a lot of mini golf. I spent a lot of time in golf on a golf course, but I've never actually played golf on a golf course like proper golf. I spent loads of time on a golf course, but had a lot of fun times. Used to meet a lady there.
Oh yeah. Speaking of mini golf, shout out to the boys from Mini Golf Mayhem, including the guys from the second best podcast that's represented in our mini golf league, Made to Motivate, which you can find on.
I forgot about your mini golf league. Yeah,
which you can find on all podcasting platforms. You can find Wrestling with Egos, which is the best podcast that is associated with the Mini Golf Mayhem League.
And wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Those two specific things were the number one podcast involved with the golf league you just said, and wrestling.
So let me ask you one question so we can get out of here because we have gone way off track. Let's get back to this.
Go on.
At the end of the day, who leaves Wembley Stadium as the AEW World Champion?
Oh, that's a tricky one. You know what? I hope, in a weird, warped way, Cole, and I'll tell you why. Because I hope they win the tag titles, and then I hope Cole does something to screw over MJF at the end, and MJF carries on as this weird pseudo babyface. Because everyone assumes it'll be Cole. Sorry, that it'll be MJF that will do a heel turn in some manner again. Go back to his normal way. But I could see it being Cole, and I could see that playing out as them as tag champions. And hopefully MJF gets the title back, because I'd prefer him out of the two. I think there's other people in there that should have the title, but that's another thing.
Here's what I think's going to happen.
Yeah, what?
I think that they lose the tag title match.
Mm-hmm.
And during the main event, both of these guys who can be assholes in their own right.
Yeah.
They are both going to try to screw each other over at the same time.
Okay.
And I think Adam Cole just beats him to the punch.
Okay.
Either way, if this match does not end with the fans being heartbroken over something, AEW has failed.
Do you think Roddy Strong will be involved?
Wouldn't surprise me.
I could see that. I don't really like it, but now I'm thinking about it.
I don't like it either. But something I like even less is feeling good about the end of the main event. I need this to rip my heart out.
Okay,
one way or the other. Yeah.
Somebody's compared it lately to AEW's own Bloodline storyline.
Yes.
And with length and all that, it's not exactly the same, but I get it. It's very...
It has that same emotionality, much like when Sammy was still involved in the Bloodline story.
Yeah, that's what it feels like more. That's a better way to put it.
This needs to have that same just rip your heart out of your chest kind of moment.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, like I said, AEW has failed if they do not produce that.
I agree, and that will especially make the show itself feel less important, because there needs to be something big like that to end it with this story.
I agree. And especially if they're going to have all out 7 days later.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. I forgot about that, because they'll probably just replay the title match.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I think that kind of gives even more chance to Cole winning in that case.
I don't personally care who wins.
No.
The only thing I care about is that I better get my heart broken.
Yeah, you care about the story rather than particularly who wins.
About the story on this one.
Yeah,
and if they don't give you a knife through the heart kind of moment, again, failure.
I think that's kind of the sign of a good story nowadays. Though there actually, doesn't necessarily have to be about the classic good guy and the bad guy. It can just be about a good story and just invested in what happens, whatever that is, whatever happens. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So, well, music's playing, which means it's time for us to shut the hell up.
I can hear that coming. Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, which works for me because I'm tired.
It's been a long one, but that was a good one, though. I think we got partially a lot of it out. It was good.
So, well, next week, Brian will rejoin us. Programming notes, though, in 2 weeks, I will not be here. The lady and her place of employment are having their annual managerial party.
Yeah.
And it is happening at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. So, and it is a costume party. So I'm gonna go in my best grunge 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, but I will not be here. I will not be here in 2 weeks.
But you'll have to supply us and the people, me and the people, with a picture of the costume.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
You stay out.
There we go. I like that. Thank you. Voice in the distance.
Mom, stay out of this.
Saying it.
KD, don't encourage her. You know what? We're getting out of here. We're ending the show, and I'm not even going to use the normal tagline that I always do because we already talked about why we love wrestling. But I will just end it with this: follow the Buzzards.